The UEM's Mercy glided silently through the darkness of space, its white hull emblazoned with the universal medical symbol glowing softly against the backdrop of distant stars. The medical frigate carried 300 of Earth's finest doctors, nurses, and medical researchers, bound for the drought-stricken colonies on Proxima b, where a waterborne pathogen had already claimed thousands of lives. ETA to Proxima system in 30 minutes, Dr. Reed, announced the ship's AI as the lead physician reviewed the latest pathogen data. Thank you, Athena, Reed replied, brushing a strand of graying hair from her face. Alert the team to prepare. The emergency response kits. The first blast hit without warning, rocking the unarmed vessel violently. Emergency lights flashed red as the medical staff grabbed for support. We're under attack, the captain's voice boomed over the comms. All personnel to emergency stations. Through the observation deck, Reed watched in horror as 3 biomechanical ships, their hulls resembling chitinous exoskeletons, surrounded the Mercy. The Rosarians, an insectoid species known for territorial aggression but never direct attacks, on human vessels, especially not medical ships protected under galactic accord. This is Captain Torres of the UEM's Mercy, the captain broadcast on all frequencies. We are an unarmed medical vessel on a humanitarian mission. Please cease fire immediately. The only response was another volley of energy blasts that crippled the ship's engines. Warning klaxons blared as the life support systems faltered. They're boarding us, whispered the navigation officer, pointing to the feed showing multiple breach points where Rosarian soldiers, their mantis-like forms moving with predatory precision, cut through the hull. Within minutes, they swarmed the medical decks. Reed watched in horror as her colleagues fell, their bodies crumpling under the onslaught. Not all were killed. Some were bound with resin-like restraints and dragged away. Hide the research data, Reed ordered her assistant as they barricaded themselves in the lab. Earth needs to know what happened here. Before the assistant could respond, the door burst inward. 3 Rosarian soldiers, their compound eyes reflecting the emergency lights, chittered commands through translator devices. Humans heal disease. Disease is natural selection. You interfere with evolution, the lead soldier's translator buzzed. Your medicine is biological warfare against superior species. Reed stood tall despite her fear. We're here to save lives, all lives. We would help your people too if asked. The Rosarian tilted its angular head. Deception. Humans only help humans. That's not true, Reed protested, but her words were cut short as they fired stun weapons. As consciousness faded, Reed activated her emergency beacon, a simple coded pulse that would reach the nearest Earth outpost. Her last thought was of Earth, 90 light-years away, and whether help could possibly arrive in time. The beacon's signal traversed the stars, jumping from relay to relay until it reached Earth 26 hours later. The message was simple but clear. Medical ship attacked, crew taken. On Earth, the response was immediate. Emergency councils convened, military commands were issued, and in a secure facility beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars, a specialized team received activation orders. Red Day protocols had begun. Ambassador Thorne stood before the Galactic Council, his weathered face illuminated by the pale blue light of the chamber. Around him, representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations murmured among themselves, their varied physiologies, from the crystalline Fodolians to the gaseous Venth, making the human diplomat look remarkably plain by comparison. The Council has reviewed your petition regarding the Rosarian attack on your medical vessel, announced High Arbiter Zol, a gelatinous entity whose translucent body pulsed with bioluminescent thought patterns. We find this matter to be a regional dispute outside Council jurisdiction. A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. Thorne's face remained impassive, but his knuckles whitened as he gripped the podium. With respect, Arbiter, the UEMS Mercy was clearly marked as a medical vessel. 300 of our healers were aboard, 216 taken prisoner, 84 confirmed dead. This was not a military target. This was not a regional dispute. This was an attack on those who swore to preserve life. The Monothian. Representative's tentacles writhed dismissively. Humans always overreact. The Rosarians have legitimate concerns about your interference in their sphere. Your medicines change evolutionary trajectories. Our medicines save lives, Thorn countered. We offer them to all species, including the Rizarians, when their southern continent suffered the coral plague last cycle. Yet you arm your medical ships with soldiers, hissed the Saurian delegate. The Mercy had no military personnel aboard, Thorn replied. Not one weapon. They were doctors, researchers, nurses. Then this is unfortunate but hardly warrants council intervention, said Arbiter Zoll. Your species is young in the galactic community, Ambassador Thorn. You must understand that we cannot involve ourselves in every conflict. Thorn straightened, his eyes moving deliberately around the chamber. The council misunderstands humanity's nature, and the nature of our response. A curious silence fell over the assembly. You all know us as healers. We've shared medical technology that extended lifespans across a dozen worlds. We've dispatched physicians to combat plagues on planets not our own. This is the face of humanity. You've chosen to see. Thorn's voice dropped lower. What you forget, what the Rizarians tragically overlooked, is our duality. The same species that travels across galaxies to heal the sick will move heaven and earth to protect our own. Are you threatening war, Ambassador? The Fedolian representative's crystal form vibrated in alarm. I am explaining, Thorn replied, calmly. In humanity's history, our greatest healers and our fiercest warriors often stood side by side. Sometimes they were one and the same. We are not dispatching our army to handle this situation. Then what is your intention? Asked Arbiter Zoll. We have already sent a specialized unit, soldiers who are also healers. They are trained not just to save lives, but when necessary, to take them with surgical precision. The Rizarians attacked our healers. Thorn paused, his gaze steady. So we sent the Angels of Death. The chamber erupted in concerned chatter. What is the meaning of this term? Demanded the Arbiter. It's an ancient human reference, Thorn explained. Angels were messengers of divine will, beings who could bring either salvation or judgment. Our team carries both medicine and weapons. They will save our people and any who stand with us. But those who stand against them will discover why, throughout our history, the most compassionate healers made the most formidable adversaries. Commander Maya Ellis stood in the dropship's bay, checking her team's equipment one final time. The 6 members of the 7th Combat Medical Response Team, nicknamed the Angels long before this mission, moved with coordinated efficiency, each performing their pre-mission rituals with practiced calm. Comms check, Maya ordered, her voice steady despite the dropship's violent descent through the Rizarian mothership's defensive fire. Ortiz, combat medic, green. Lawson, trauma surgeon, green. Cooper, infectious disease specialist, green. Banks, field surgeon, green. Diaz, emergency physician, green. Each voice came through crisp and clear in Maya's earpiece. 6 medical professionals, each with over 1,000 combat drops and 15 years of specialized military training. The most elite fighting force Earth had never advertised to the galactic community. Mission parameters haven't changed, Maya reminded them as the ship shuddered around them. Primary objective is recovery of surviving medical personnel. Secondary is intelligence gathering on Rizarian biological weapons research. Deadly force. Authorized, but not mandated. Dr. James Cooper adjusted his tactical gloves. The specialized fabric designed to maintain surgical dexterity even in combat conditions. Latest intel suggests they're keeping prisoners in the central medical bay. Likely running experiments. That tracks with Rizarian evolutionary philosophy, Dr. Sarah Banks added, checking the laser scalpel that doubled as a close combat weapon. They view our medical interventions as evolutionary interference. They're probably trying to understand our methods to counter them. The dropship lurched as it took a glancing hit. Lieutenant Commander Diaz barely looked up from loading his specialized medical darts, some filled with healing compounds, others with neurotoxins derived from Earth's deadliest creatures. 30 seconds to insertion, announced the pilot. Minimal. Landing zone. Heavy resistance expected. Maya nodded. Smoke and precision entry. We move as a unit until we reach Junction B7, then split as planned. Remember, we're physicians first, warriors second, the team finished in unison. A mantra, drilled into them through years of training. The dropship hit the deck with a bone-jarring impact. Before the ramp fully lowered, Cooper had deployed a specialized smoke compound that filled the hangar bay. To the Rizarian guards, it appeared as standard tactical smoke, but it carried an added agent specifically designed to interfere with their compound visual systems without causing permanent damage. The Angels moved through the disoriented guards with surgical precision. Maya watched as Ortiz dispatched 2 guards with pressure point strikes that rendered them unconscious rather than dead, a more difficult technique, but one that aligned with their ethical code. "We have 60 minutes before they adapt to our biological countermeasures," Lawson reminded everyone as they secured the hangar. Banks connected her medical scanner to the ship's biological interface. Unlike most human military units, the Angels specialized in understanding alien biology, both to heal and, when necessary, to exploit vulnerabilities. "I've got access to their environmental systems," she announced. "Their ship functions like a hive organism. These conduits carry both information and biological agents." She pointed to a pulsing tube running along the wall. "We can follow the medical supply routes directly to their central bay." Maya nodded approvingly. "Cooper, deploy the tracer organisms." Cooper released a vial of genetically modified bacteria, designed to flow through the Rizarian biological systems, sending back data on ship layout and life signs. "I'm detecting human biosignatures," he confirmed, studying his scanner. 204 distinct readings. 12 are in significant distress." Maya's jaw tightened. 12 lost already. "Let's move." Standard medical breach formation. As they advanced through the living corridors of the Rizarian ship, Maya reflected on the duality of their mission. Every member of her team had taken the physician's oath to do no harm. Yet here they were, prepared to cut through any opposition to reach those who needed their help. The first real resistance came at a junction where the ship's organic structure narrowed. 8 Rizarian guards chittered in alarm as the Angels approached. "Translator active," Diaz announced. "They're saying something about the human infection spreading." "Tell them we're here for our people," Maya ordered. "Nothing more." But the Rizarians opened fire before Diaz could transmit the message. The corridor erupted in flashes of energy as Rizarian weapons discharged. The Angels moved with practiced fluidity, their bodies performing maneuvers honed through thousands of training simulations specifically designed for the confined spaces of alien vessels. "Non-lethal response," Maya commanded, activating her neural disruptor. The weapon, designed by Dr. Cooper during his residency in xenoneurology, emitted precise pulses that interfered with the Rizarian central nervous system without causing permanent damage. Lawson slid forward beneath the energy bursts, his movements reminiscent of a combat medic rushing to a fallen soldier under fire. He deployed a canister that released a localized sedative gas, carefully calibrated to Rizarian physiology. 3 guards dropped immediately, their chitinous legs buckling beneath them. "Passage clear," Ortiz reported, already examining one of the unconscious guards. "Vitals stable. They'll recover in approximately 20 minutes. Maya nodded. "Banks, biological update?" Dr. Banks had her scanner pressed against the pulsating wall of the vessel. Unlike conventional ships built of metal and composites, Rizarian vessels were semi-organic constructs, part grown, part built, that functioned like extensions of their hive mind. "The ship knows we're here," she reported grimly. "I'm detecting increased antibody production in the surrounding tissues. The vessel is treating us like an infection." Cooper joined her at the wall, his expression thoughtful as he studied the readings. "The ship's immune response gives us an advantage. Look at the leukocyte movement. They're concentrating toward the central medical bay. That's where they're keeping our people." "Can you use that?" Maya asked. Cooper nodded. "If we introduce a mild inflammatory agent here," he indicated a junction on the display, "we can trigger a stronger immune response. The ship will divert security resources away from the medical bay to address the perceived greater threat." "Do it," Maya ordered. "Diaz, help him prepare the compound." While they worked, Maya studied the biological scan of the vessel. Unlike human military leaders who might view the ship simply as an enemy stronghold to be conquered, she saw it as a patient, a complex biological system with predictable responses and vulnerabilities that could be exploited without unnecessary destruction. "Compound ready," Diaz announced, holding up a syringe filled with an iridescent blue fluid. Cooper located a pulsing vein-like structure in the wall, and carefully inserted the needle. The effect was almost immediate. The surrounding tissue flushed, a deep purple, and alarm signals began pulsing through the organic circuitry embedded in the walls. "We have approximately 12 minutes before they identify the nature of the inflammatory response," Cooper advised. "After that, they'll realize it's a diversion." The team moved swiftly through the increasingly agitated vessel. Twice they encountered Rizarian security teams rushing toward the diversion, but the guards passed without noticing them. Their compound eyes focused on the perceived greater threat. "Junction ahead," Ortiz reported. "According to the scan, we'll need to pass through their equivalent of an operating theater to reach the holding cells." Maya paused, considering. "Lawson, Banks, medical assessment. What can we expect?" Dr. Banks studied her readings. "Rizarian medical philosophy is drastically different from ours. They believe in evolutionary pressure rather than intervention. Their treatments often involve accelerating natural selection within the patient. In human terms," Lawson added grimly, "they let the strong cells survive and the weak die. Their operating theaters are designed to apply controlled traumatic stressors to the body." Maya's expression hardened. "Then we move quickly. Standard medical extraction protocol. Prepare combat stimulants and trauma kits. Whatever we find in there, remember, we're physicians first." As they approached the theater doors, a subtle vibration ran through the organic walls of the vessel. The ship was communicating their presence. "Our window just collapsed," Cooper warned. "They know we're here." Maya nodded to her team, each face composed despite the danger ahead. "Then we do this the hard way. Angels, operate with precision." The doors parted before them, revealing the nightmare within. The Rizarian operating theater stretched before them like a scene from a medieval torture chamber, reimagined by an insectoid intelligence. Tiered observation platforms surrounded circular surgical pits, where Rizarian medical practitioners moved with cold efficiency among their human subjects. The air hummed with chittering communications and the occasional human moan of pain. Maya's team froze momentarily, their medical training warring with combat instincts. 8 humans were strapped to examination tables, their bodies connected to pulsating organic machinery that drew fluids and introduced unknown compounds. Dozen more were confined in transparent cells lining the walls, clearly subjects awaiting their turn. "Mother of mercy," whispered Lawson, his surgeon's eyes cataloging injuries and procedures with professional detachment that couldn't quite mask his horror. "They're mapping human medical responses," Cooper observed, scanning the nearest workstation. "They're deliberately introducing pathogens, then studying how our immune systems and medical implants respond." A Rizarian scientist looked up from its work, compound eyes widening in alarm. Before it could trigger an alert, Diaz fired a precision dart that delivered a swift-acting sedative. The alien slumped silently over its console. "Banks, Ortiz, secure the observation deck," Maya ordered. "Cooper, Lawson, assess patients and prepare for emergency transport. Diaz, with me on security." The team split with practiced efficiency. Maya moved to the central control node, recognizing it as similar to ones they'd studied in xenobiology training. She injected a specialized virus designed to temporarily paralyze the ship's internal communications. "Comms suppressed for 8 minutes, she reported. "Work fast." Below, Cooper and Lawson moved from table to table, their expressions grim but hands steady as they evaluated the victims. "They've introduced a cocktail of bacterial agents," Cooper reported, studying his medical scanner. "Nothing immediately lethal, but designed to systematically overwhelm different aspects of the immune system." Lawson was already preparing counteragents. "These patients need immediate extraction and full biohazard protocols. Some of these pathogens appear engineered specifically for human physiology." Maya processed this information as she maintained a defensive position. "Engineered how?" "They're studying how our advanced medical implants respond to threats," Cooper explained, carefully disconnecting a patient from the alien equipment. "Standard civilian medical implants contain limited AI and nanite systems to fight disease. The Rizarians seem to be developing pathogens that can hijack these systems." The implications were chilling. Most of humanity's colonies depended on these medical systems to survive in harsh environments. A pathogen that could turn those systems against their hosts would be devastating. Banks called down from the observation deck. "Commander, we've accessed their research database. They've been planning this for years. The attack on the Mercy wasn't opportunistic. It was targeted. They specifically wanted our medical researchers for interrogation and experimentation, Banks confirmed grimly. They see our medical technology as an evolutionary threat. They believe species should rise or fall based on natural selection alone. Ortiz joined her at the railing. We've located the remaining prisoners. They're being held in stasis chambers 1 level below. Minimal security. They didn't expect a rescue operation this deep in their territory. Maya nodded. Prepare for Phase 2 extraction. Diaz, set charges to cover our retreat. She tapped her comm unit. Extraction team, prepare for emergency. Medical evacuation. We have multiple critical patients requiring immediate containment and treatment. As they worked to stabilize the patients for transport, the ship's organic walls began to pulse with increased urgency. Their communications blackout was failing faster than expected. The ship is adapting, Cooper warned. It's developing antibodies to our viral suppressor. Maya made a quick decision. Change of plans. Lawson, Cooper, continue prep for extraction. Banks, Ortiz, Diaz, with me to secure the remaining hostages. We move in 3 minutes. As they prepared to split their forces, the main door to the operating theater slid open. In the entrance stood a Rosarian unlike any they had encountered before. Larger, its exoskeleton adorned with bioluminescent markings that pulsed with authority. Behind it stood a full security detachment, weapons raised. Humans, its translator, buzzed with cold precision. You demonstrate exactly why your species cannot be permitted to spread your medical heresy across the galaxy. Commander Maya Ellis assessed the Rosarian leader with the calm calculation of both physician and warrior. Behind her, her team continued working efficiently, stabilizing patients while taking defensive positions. I am Commander Ellis of the 7th Combat Medical Response Team, she announced, activating her universal translator. We have come for our people, release them, and this conflict can end without further bloodshed. The Rosarian leader's antennae twitched in what the team's xenobiologists recognized as amusement or derision. The bioluminescent patterns across its carapace pulsed in complex sequences. I am High Evolutor Kraz, the translator rendered its chittering response. Your presence here confirms our research conclusions. Humans cannot accept natural order. You interfere where evolution should decide. We call it medicine, Maya replied, evenly. It's not interference. It's compassion. Compassion. Kraz's translator buzzed with a tone suggesting the concept was foreign. A weakness that will ultimately destroy your species. By preserving the genetically inferior, you corrupt your own evolutionary path. While Maya kept the evolutor engaged, Cooper quietly signaled to her that patient stabilization was complete. Lawson had finished preparing emergency evacuation protocols. Banks and Ortiz had positioned themselves to execute a tactical maneuver, if needed. Our medical ship was on a mission to treat an outbreak on Proxima B, Maya continued. Those colonists, humans and non-humans alike, are still suffering. The physicians you attacked were their only hope. A hope that defies natural law, Kraz responded. Those meant to perish should perish. Those meant to survive will do so without intervention. This is the way of all successful species. Except it isn't, Diaz interjected unexpectedly. Maya glanced at him, but the emergency physician stepped forward confidently. I've studied comparative xenobiology for 20 years. Every successful spacefaring species has developed medicine in some form. Kraz's compound eyes shifted to Diaz. Explain. Evolution itself favors cooperation alongside competition, Diaz continued. Species that care for their injured and sick demonstrate higher long-term survival rates. It's not weakness, it's evolutionary advantage. Maya recognized Diaz's strategy. Engaging the Rosarian in scientific debate created precious time for the team to complete preparations. She subtly signaled Cooper to proceed with the next phase of their extraction plan. Your theory is flawed, Kraz chittered. Our hives eliminated medical intervention 8,000 cycles ago. We have grown stronger. And yet, Diaz countered, your species hasn't expanded beyond this sector in that time, while numerous, compassionate species have thrived across the galaxy. The evolutor's guards shifted restlessly, their mandibles clicking in agitation. Maya sensed the tension escalating. They had perhaps 30 seconds before the situation deteriorated. Enough debate, Kraz declared. You will surrender your weapons and join the research subjects. Your military implants are of particular interest to our studies. Maya straightened to her full height. We didn't come here as soldiers, Evolutor Kraz. We came as physicians. Every member of my team has sworn an oath to preserve life. All life, including Rosarian. She took a deliberate step forward. We could have deployed lethal biological agents the moment we boarded your vessel. We could have introduced pathogens that would have eliminated your entire crew without firing a single shot. Instead, we've used non-lethal methods because we believe all life has value. Tactical error, Kraz responded coldly. Weakness of resolve. No, Maya countered. Strength of principle. But principles have limits. At her signal, Banks deployed a specialized countermeasure, not a weapon, but a medical device designed to temporarily disrupt the Rosarians' hive-mind connection. The guards chittered in confusion as their neural link to the collective weakened. In the moment of disorientation, the angels moved with coordinated precision. Diaz and Ortiz deployed non-lethal neutralizing agents, while Cooper and Lawson secured the patients. Maya faced Evolutor Kraz directly, her neural disruptor aimed at the Rosarian's central nervous cluster. Last chance, she offered. Release our people and we leave peacefully. Kraz lunged forward with unexpected speed, a biological blade extending from its forearm. Maya sidestepped with the grace of a combat veteran, striking precisely at the nerve junction where Rosarian motor control connected to their central brain. The Evolutor collapsed, temporarily paralyzed but fully conscious. Around them, the security team had been similarly neutralized without a single fatality. Maya knelt beside the immobilized Evolutor. Your soldiers will recover in approximately 1 hour. That gives us time to evacuate our people. You should kill me, Kraz's translator buzzed weakly. It is what any rational species would do. Maya stood. Then perhaps it's time you reconsidered your definition of rationality. We'll leave your research data intact, including records of how we defeated your security with minimal casualties. Consider it a medical lesson in the evolutionary advantages of compassion. The extraction from the Rosarian vessel proceeded with methodical efficiency. Banks and Cooper oversaw the medical evacuation of the critical patients, while Ortiz and Diaz secured the path to the extraction point. Maya and Lawson led the team freeing the remaining hostages from their containment cells. Dr. Reed was among them, her face gaunt but her eyes clear as Maya helped her to her feet. Angels of Death, Reed whispered, recognizing the insignia on Maya's uniform. I didn't think they'd send you. We prefer Angels of Mercy, Maya replied with a faint smile. Though today, perhaps both apply. As the last of the medical personnel were evacuated to the waiting transport vessels, Maya initiated the final phase of their mission. The charges they had placed throughout the ship were not explosives as conventional military doctrine might suggest, but specialized disruptors designed to temporarily disable the vessel's organic systems without causing permanent damage. All personnel clear, Diaz reported as the final transport prepared for departure. Maya nodded, her expression somber as she transmitted the activation signal. Throughout the massive Rosarian vessel, critical systems went offline simultaneously. Life support remained functional, but weapons, propulsion, and communications would be inoperable for approximately 72 hours. Enough time for the human fleet to establish a defensive perimeter. From the viewport of the departing transport, the team watched as the Rosarian flagship drifted powerless amid its escort vessels, which had been similarly neutralized. Not a single ship destroyed. Not a single life unnecessarily taken. Mission completed with minimal casualties, Maya noted in her official log. 204 medical personnel recovered. 16 deceased prior to our arrival. 3 days later, Ambassador Thorne stood again before the Galactic Council, his weathered face betraying no emotion as he delivered his report. The chamber was unusually silent as he described the successful extraction and the intelligence gathered about the Rosarians' plans. The captured research confirms that the Rosarians viewed human medical technology as an evolutionary threat, Thorne explained. They feared our willingness to extend medical aid across species lines would create dependent populations. Hi. Arbiter Zol's translucent form pulsed with thoughtful patterns. Yet you're angels. chose not to destroy their vessels when they had the opportunity. That was never their mission, Thorne replied simply. They were sent to save lives, not take them. But they could have easily done so, the Minothian representative observed, tentacles moving with newfound respect. Our analysis confirms that the human team could have introduced lethal pathogens throughout the Rosarian fleet. They could have, Thorne acknowledged. They chose not to. A murmur passed through the assembly as representatives conferred among themselves. Finally, Arbiter Zoll addressed the chamber. The Council has revised its assessment of human capabilities and intentions. We had not fully appreciated the duality of your species. That those who heal can also fight with such precision, and those who fight can show such restraint. Thorne bowed slightly. It is who we are. On the Proxima B colony, the surviving medical team of the UEMS Mercy finally completed their original mission. Under the watchful protection of a human defense fleet, they distributed the vaccines and treatments needed to combat the waterborne pathogen that had ravaged the population. Dr. Reed, still recovering from her ordeal, supervised the distribution alongside Commander Ellis, whose team had remained to provide both security and medical support. I've been thinking about what the evolutor said, Reed commented as they watched colonists receiving treatment. About compassion being weakness. Maya nodded. A common misconception among species that prioritize strength alone. Yet your team, fighters trained as healers, healers trained as fighters, you proved the opposite. Humanity learned long ago that true strength lies in this balance, Maya replied, watching as Diaz gently treated a child's fever, while Ortiz stood guard nearby. We fight fiercely precisely because we care deeply. We heal passionately because we understand pain, Reed smiled faintly. Angels of death, angels of mercy. Two sides of the same coin, Maya agreed. Perhaps that's humanity's unique contribution to the galaxy. Understanding that compassion without strength can falter, but strength without compassion can corrupt. As the sun set over the colony, human physicians continued their work alongside their protectors, demonstrating to the watching galaxy a truth as old as humanity itself. That the hand that heals can also defend, and the heart fierce enough to fight can be gentle enough to save. The Rosarians would recover. The Council would remember, and throughout human space the legend would grow, of healers who crossed galaxies to save lives, and the angels who descended when those healers were threatened. Not angels of death in the end, but guardians of something far more powerful, the uniquely human belief that every life, across every species, was worth saving. End.